Hey, Ray Del Vecchio here from websiteprofitcourse.com. I want to talk about blogging today. I started my blog about 5 years ago, and I've made over $50,000 from blogging. I don't think there's any good reason to not start a blog because it's going to give you more opportunities and you can connect with people outside of your local area. Now, the good news is it's never been easier to start a blog. The bad news is there's 100,000 people out there telling you how to do it. It's pretty difficult to figure out the best way, so that's what I want to help you out with today. In this quick tutorial, I'll show you how to install WordPress on HostGator. HostGator is one of the most affordable hosting companies around. They've been in business since 2002, and I've been a loyal customer for over a decade after using a couple smaller companies that just weren't as good. So I don't want you to procrastinate or wait any longer. And I will click the Get Started button here on HostGator's homepage. They have three main options: the Hatchling plan, the baby plan, and the business plan. And if you're creating one website, I recommend you go for the Hatchling plan. And if you want to create multiple websites, go for the baby plan. You can always upgrade later. For now, I'm going to start with the Hatchling plan. You can see here that they give you 1 year of free domain registration. If you already have your domain with another provider, you can just click this tab up here. And then once you get set up, you'll just have to update HostGator settings within your domain provider. If you register your domain, they're going to be linked together automatically, so it's a little bit easier. It's one less step. And we can go through this page. There's one other thing with registering a domain, and that is domain privacy. Sometimes companies or marketers can get access to your contact information through your domain name. So if you don't want that to occur, you can just add on this domain privacy for $14.95 a year. If you'd like to uncheck it and you want to live dangerously and save a little bit of money, you can uncheck it, but I'll leave it selected for now. In step 2, we already have the Hatchling plan selected, and we just got to choose our term. You can go month to month if you'd like, but obviously the longer the term, you're going to get the better deal. And I recommend going for the longest term you can afford. And I think a good middle ground is 1 year. So that's what I'll select here. In section 3, this is where you're going to create your account. And I already have an account. That's why you can see they have my credit card on file. So you'll just have to fill out your information, and you can either use a credit card or pay with PayPal. In section 4, there's additional services that you can add on. And I recommend you just uncheck all of these because you can do a lot with WordPress plugins. You don't need to set this up from the get-go. And if you want to get the best price, obviously, you don't want to add anything else on besides the domain and the hosting. In section 5, this is where you can enter a coupon code, and you might see a coupon code in here by default. If you'd like to support my channel and my website, I really appreciate if you use my coupon code, WPC1. That allows me to create free tutorials like this, along with the WordPress training that I'll talk about at the end of the video. And if we review our order here, you can see that the subtotal is $140 and we're getting a $78 discount, with our grand total being under $65 to get set up for the entire year. And the last step is clicking that checkbox and hitting the Checkout Now button. And the payment's completed, and they're just setting up our account right now. We should get forwarded to our HostGator account portal. And there we go. We can see that our order's completed, and then this is where we can manage anything that we purchase within HostGator, whether it's hosting, any add-ons in the marketplace, or email. You can manage your domains here if you just have domain names with no hosting, and then edit your billing. And last but not least, if you have any issues along the way, go ahead and contact their support. So let's click this button here and view our dashboard. And we got our hosting package here with the options to manage it. If you go to cPanel, you'll see more options, but these are the most widely used ones, which is email accounts, databases, file manager, and the one that we want is install WordPress. This brings us to the WordPress installation page, and we can hit the Install Now button. You want to make sure you do this under a secure protocol, HTTPS, and then you can choose whether or not you want the www or not. I usually leave it off just to keep the domain short. We pick our domain here if you have multiple domains, and then you can install WordPress in a subdirectory if you like, but I'd say 90 to 95% of the time, your best bet is to do it on the top level directory, and you want to make sure you have the latest version of WordPress installed. Here you can see I got an error message or a warning that says our SSL certificate was not found. That's what's needed to run HTTPS, and it may take a little bit of time for that to provision. It doesn't always happen immediately. And these are the WordPress specific details here. This is where you can name your site, add a site description, and then pick your admin username. And I recommend that you change this from admin. Make sure you save your password. I use a password manager like LastPass. And you want to make sure you have an active email address. Down here, they give you the language. Usually, I like to delete all the plugins because sometimes it comes pre-installed. I do recommend this one, limit login attempts. I use it on some of my client sites. That'll just let you know if people are trying to hack into your site by logging in. If we click on the advanced options here, this is just giving us our database information, and we really don't need to worry about that or change anything there. And lastly, you can pick your theme. This is the great part about WordPress, that you have thousands and thousands of themes to choose from, or if you're more of a creative person, you can use a drag and drop theme builder. The one that I recommend is Divi, and I'll link that in the description below. But for now, we're just going to use the default WordPress theme. And if you have recommendations for the type of website that you're going to build, let me know in the comments below. So I'll hit select theme here, click yes on this image copyright message, and then you can also email your username and password and other installation details if you like. I'll include a copy to the admin address I set above, and then we'll hit the install button, and hopefully everything works here. And we got our congratulations message along with the URLs that we can access our new WordPress website, along with a login screen to edit our website. So let's check it out. Let's go to our homepage and we'll log into WordPress as well. And you can see here that I have this connection is not private warning message because we don't have our SSL certificate installed yet. I'm back here just about 5 to 10 minutes later, and our SSL certificate is installed. I refreshed my page, which I got an error on before. And here's our WordPress website. Obviously, it's very basic. We have no content in there. And if I go to the next tab, this is our WordPress dashboard. So like I mentioned before, the first thing I normally do is go to the plugin section because you got a lot of stuff on your screen here. I just uninstall all the unwanted plugins. It can get a little bit bloated, so I like doing them one by one once you know exactly what features you need. So I'm going to select them all here. The two that I'm going to keep are Loginizer. This is that one that limits the login attempts. And Yoast SEO, which I recommend that you keep so you can get found a little bit easier in Google. That plugin lets you optimize posts and pages with keywords. So let's deactivate these and then we can delete them. And that should clean up our dashboard and our screen there. You won't see any of these, pop-up messages from all these plugins. And I want to do the same thing. Like I said, I want to delete them first. You got to deactivate them before you can delete them. And I will delete these plugins. And we'll be left with a nice, clean installation. If you'd like to browse themes now, go over to the Appearance Theme section. This is where you'll see the 2021 theme installed. This already comes installed with the 2 older WordPress default themes, along with one called Sinatra. And then if you want to browse themes, you can just click the Add New button. Go through the most popular, the latest themes, favorite themes. It's a couple of weeks later, and I got a new PC, a new headset, so the audio might sound a little bit differently. And more importantly, WordPress released their biggest update since introducing blocks, and that's full site editing built right into the new 2022 theme. You can see this theme wasn't here before when I first installed WordPress. And if we look at the demo, this is the blank website. Just to give you an example of what we're going to be building, this is all of the features that you can build into it if you'd like to create a blog that looks better than most of them out there. So we're going to dig into that step by step, going through the full site editing. Before we get started, just check out the links in the description below. I'll include some of the assets that we use in this tutorial. That'll get you started so you can recreate what we're going to go through today. Let's begin with a couple of default WordPress settings. So every WordPress installation is going to have a settings menu down here. We can go through each section really quickly. And in the general section, this is where you set your site title and tagline. So for the site title, I'm going to call this Local Trail Guides. And for the tagline, I'll make this Explore Nature Near You. You'll see the URL, your email address, and a few other defaults here. So let's save that. In the writing section, you don't really have to touch anything on here. The main thing that you might want to do is set your default blog category once you start writing blog posts. The reading section is important because this is where you pick how your homepage looks. So your homepage with WordPress can either just be a list of your blog posts, or you can build out a custom homepage layout. That's what I normally prefer doing. So we're going to set this option to set our homepage as a static page. And right now, I don't have any pages created. They just have that sample page, which is by default created when you install WordPress. So I'm going to need to just go ahead and create a couple pages here. So let's go over to the pages. And with WordPress, you have your pages and your posts. So blog posts are dated, whereas pages are timeless. About page, contact page, testimonials, anything like that. So we're going to create 2 pages. One of them is going to be our homepage. When we click in here, you're going to see the wizard for the WordPress block editor. And this is how you create your blog post with content. And basically, the full site editing just extended this because before you were only able to edit
your content area, but you couldn't edit your header, your footer, your sidebars. Now, all of that comes built in with the full site editing. I'm just going to exit out of this wizard for now, and I'm just going to add blank pages. We'll fill this in with content later, but I'm just going to call this one the home page. Let's publish it, and then we'll go back and create one more page, which is our blog page, and this is what we're going to set to show our blog posts. So we have those published up. We can go back into our reading settings and now set this to the home page we just created and set the post page to the blog page that we just created. So let's save that. The discussion, this is where you set all your defaults for blog commenting, people commenting on your posts. Over in the media section, this is all the defaults for images that get uploaded. If you upload really large photos, WordPress is going to automatically create these 3 sizes, and you get to choose which to insert. And the last section, which is also very important, is permalinks. Originally, WordPress was just operating off of this query-based structure where you have this question mark and then P, which is your page, equals whatever the page ID is. Obviously, that doesn't look very good. It's not, easy to share a link or for somebody to remember a link. So I always set this to post name, and right now it's set to that by default. That way your URL will just take the structure of whatever your post or page title is. So that's it for the WordPress settings. Now we can dig into the full site editor here. We can get to it by going to the appearance editor section. And if you are a WordPress user, you'll notice that there's no customize or menus submenu here, which that's all built into the editor. So you need a block enabled theme in order to get that editor section to do this full site editing. But here's the real brief overview of it. Basically, you're building your entire website with blocks. Up here, this is telling you what template you're seeing. So this is the page template right now. And then there's also template parts, such as the header and the footer, and that's what they're showing here. If you want to check out all your templates, just click this Browse All Templates button. These are all the templates that used to be in your theme folder that only developers would access to edit and customize. Now they're making this accessible and completely built on top of the WordPress block system. That way you don't need to know code in order to customize your templates. So for instance, if you have a blog post, you're going to use this template, single post, to show that. So if you want a custom template for a blog post, you would edit this template. And then, like I mentioned before, you can go into the template parts. And this is where we have our header and our footer. And you can see here they give you 3 variations of the header. You got your standard header, and then header dark large, header dark small. And if we go back to our templates here, let me click on the home page. I think there's a typo in this description. If we go back here or over on the right, it says that this displays as the site's homepage or as the post page when a static homepage isn't set. I think that's a typo. I think they should say is set. And this home template is actually showing the post page. That's what we got over here. The blog page is this template. So I don't actually want to edit the home template to edit my home page. So that's a little bit confusing. If we go back, I wanted to go back to the editor here. Let's view all our templates again. This is really just a plain page template. So I want to do something a little bit nicer for the home page. So for this one, we're going to use the page large header. Let's jump into this template. And you can see we have our headline, which will put our site headline there. They got the same bird image, which is a little bit larger. And then down here, you got your post content and your footer. So this is what we're going to use for the home page. The way we can assign this is if we go back to our home page in the pages section, we can pick which template we want to use in the right sidebar. So right now, this is using the default template, which is the page template. We can assign that the page large header template, We'll update that. And now take a look at our homepage, and we should have a new layout. So this is what we're going to be editing. So let's go back to our editor here. So a couple of things I want to note. Obviously, when you click in here, you're going to click into different block elements. It's important to note the hierarchy, and that's displayed down here at the bottom. So if you're ever unsure of where you're located, what element you're landed on, obviously on the right you're going to see all the settings that you can edit for that block. But then also look down here and look at the hierarchy, because you're going to see that we have our header dark large template part. That consists of the group, a header element, another group, a row, and then the site title. And it looks like you can click into any of these if you want to access a different level, edit the settings. and they give you the ability to edit padding and all that kind of stuff. So that's why it's nice to have access to all those different levels. There are newer themes, like the one that I use for my clients is Divi, that kind of already built this into WordPress, but it was theme specific. WordPress is trying to build this into every WordPress site, regardless of what theme you're using, as long as it's block enabled. And in the future, I would guess that most themes are going to start using this system. It may take a couple of years to become popular. If we click up here, they show you list view. This is also the hierarchy, just shown in a different way. Likewise, you can go into each element if you want to edit that specific element. And the last thing I want to show is this styles button. This is where you can set your default styles. So your typography, if we click into that, you can change your text and your links, choose your font, the size, the line height, the appearance, whether it's bold. And then you can set your default color palette, which is nice when you're editing with your blocks. I like to use a site called coolers.co. You can see the logo down here. They have tons of color palettes that you can choose from, and then you can export it either to a PDF or a few other formats. I always start with them, and I'm just going to copy and paste. We're going to replace that black with this dark green. So let's click into the palette. These are all default WordPress colors. These are our theme colors. It looks like to edit these, I'm not able to just click on this. I got to click the three dots, edit colors. And the same thing here. If I click on this, it's just going to copy this value. We need to click on this show detailed inputs button in order to edit that and paste in what we have. And let's see what we can add to our secondary and tertiary color. So we kind of have a similar beige, light yellowish color here. And edit it down here. And right now this is set to kind of like an off-white F6, F6, F6. I'll make this the red, which is our contrast color. And if we ever need to use other shades of green, I can go back here. Let's go back, and this is where we can change our link color. So I'll change my link colors to that red. We obviously want a little bit of contrast to the black text. And lastly, you can change some of the defaults on your blocks if you'd like. I'm not going to go into that right now because obviously we have tons of blocks. But if you ever find yourself using a block over and over again and styling it in a certain way or adding some features to it, you may be able to standardize that by editing it here within the styles menu. That way, anytime you add it into a post or a page, it's already pre-styled for you. So let's go ahead and save this. You can see here when we save too, it's going to tell you what you're saving on this page. So right now we're saving custom styles. If we made any edits here, it would tell us that we're editing the page template, the page large header template. So you know what, let me just go ahead and make a couple changes here before I save this. We're going to make this bold. We'll center it. And then I'm going to change the background color here to that green. So let me exit out of this styles menu and bring up our settings. Now that I have this group selected, we can choose our color. This is the text color. Down here is the background color. So let's change this to our green. I'm also going to upload my logo. So let me exit out of that settings bar. Let me jump into the list view to make it easy. But I'm going to click into the site logo. They're showing us the upload button. And I already have, actually, I don't think I uploaded anything yet to this. I did that to one of my other test installations. So I got a folder here with some of my images. I grabbed some free stock photos along with this free icon that we're going to use for the logo. So I can select that. And if we bring up the settings, you can see how you can edit that. You can change the width, whether or not you want it to link to the home page. And then also you can use it as the site icon, which is what shows up in the tab, in the browser tab. So let's make all these changes. Let's save. And like I just mentioned before, when you're editing specific parts of this template, it's going to tell you exactly what you're saving here. So we're changing our icon, our logo, our template parts, the header dark large, and the header, and then the global styles, the custom styles. So we're saving a lot on this first try, and then we're going to slowly build out this site with these other templates and customizations, which, speaking of, I got a list of them here, and I forgot to edit the padding. So this heading, or this header, is pretty big. You know, obviously it's just one row, so I don't think it needs to be this tall. And this is where the hierarchy comes in handy, because sometimes you'll be applying this to the group level, sometimes it's at the row level, sometimes it's at the content module level. I got a note here to change the padding on the row level. So that's what I'm going to go to here. The first row level, when I click that, you can see that it's highlighted with the blue outline. I'm going to change the padding bottom on this to something smaller. So let me try 10 pixels and we'll see what it looks like. And I just got to click into another box here, click out of that for it to apply. And you can see that tightens things up a bit. I could also do the same with the padding top. So let me apply padding top of 10 pixels. I'm also going to make this image smaller. I do like it full width, but I just want to show you how you can edit that. And you can see here, this is where we change the alignment. We have the full width option. We can also choose a max width. So we can either do 1,000 pixels or 650 pixels. Let's take a look at both of them. That actually looks nice because it matches the text size. This one's a little bit smaller. So either one's pretty cool. I would like this to appear on one line. So we're going to make this a tiny bit smaller, the text size. Let me set this to 80. And now we're going to start adding content below this. And you're going to see another added feature, which I haven't used yet. I don't know if it was released in the last version of WordPress. I think it might have been. These are called patterns. So just the way that WordPress has themes and plugins that you can, plug and play into your website to add features or designs. They're doing the same with patterns, which are really just Gutenberg blocks assembled in a certain way to show your content and make it look really nice. We have this module, which is our post content. So if we edit anything within our homepage, that's going to appear here. So we're going to add in a block above this, and you can add in all your standard blocks by searching them out through here. Or if you click the browse all, this is where we're going to see our patterns. So we have all our blocks here, which we can scroll through. But if we click into the patterns, you'll see pre-built layouts that you can add to your website with one click. This works really nicely with the 2022 theme. So I'm going to add in a couple of these. So we're going to do this first one, which is a simple call to action. We obviously want to change the button color to our red. Stands out a little bit more than this plain black. And I'm going to act as though this is an email opt-in. So if somebody clicks a button, they would go to a form where they can sign up with their email, and you can give them a free download, some kind of giveaway, a cheat sheet, anything like that that incentivizes people to sign up is good. So I'm just going to fill this in with some content, and then I'll also change this button text since we're going to assume this is a giveaway to download. I would recommend using a third-party email provider. I use MailChimp, so you can actually link over to their forms. They have ways to do pop-up forms, or you can just integrate the HTML code, which I also do in some of my websites. For now, we'll continue building out these sections using the patterns. So the next pattern that I want to choose here is this one. And this is called wide image with introduction and buttons. But I'm just going to remove the image since we already have this image, basically the exact same image up at the top. So I'm going to go in here. I'll just delete this image. And we're going to keep the text and just change this to a welcome message. We'll put our website title in here. And then these are also buttons. I would probably recommend that you style them the same way. Obviously, you can see, this one has no color. It's got an outline and it's got square corners, whereas this one's rounded. What I would recommend doing is maybe having two button colors. So this is where we can choose our style. We can do fill instead of outline. And we'll make the background color a gray, so I'm going to set it to that black, but I'll use this color picker to make it something just a little plainer so that our main call to action stands out a bit more. This looks good here, about 999. So we'll do the same thing with this button. I would just recommend this, since this is like a little welcome message, you can link these to the inner pages. And I got one final block pattern that I want to add in here, and this is the latest posts. So this is going to show the 3 latest blog posts. So we'll go into our blocks. This is another little bug of WordPress, which they need to fix. If I click this plus button, the pop-up should appear up here so I can see the entire menu. Instead, I got to scroll down here, which is a little bit annoying. We'll go to the block, all the blocks here, click over to the patterns, and we'll put in the latest posts pattern, which let's scroll down to see where it is here. And I must have missed it there. Oh, here it is right here, featured post. And it's not showing anything because I don't have any posts on there. So I got to fill in some fake blog content before this actually appears in the preview window. I'll throw some content into the blog post and then I'll come back to this page. Now that we've got some images and text in here, you can see how it looks. And we'll make a few minor customizations to this. The first thing is this latest post's title. This is way too small. So I'm going to center it and turn it into a heading because right now it's paragraph text. So you can click on that paragraph icon and we'll change it to an H2 element. I'll capitalize the P. I'll make it bold and I will center it. And then I'll also make the post titles bold. So we just need to click into here and it should update on all of these. when we edit one. So over here, we don't have the bold option in this menu. We have to go over to the right side and click the appearance button. We'll check off bold for that. If you'd like, you can add a read more link. You just need to double click into here and update the text if you'd like to add a second link that goes to the full post in addition to the page title, which is linked up. So we don't really need that since the page title does have that link. And the same goes for the date. I'm not going to show the post date on this page, on the home page, but we will show it on the blog page along with the individual post pages. So I can just delete this block. And anything else that you want to add on this page, you can just add on the home page over in the WordPress area. So we're going to save this right now. Let's go ahead and save all our changes. And once again, let me just go back to that home page. This is where all of that content under the templates that we built are going to show. So let's go back to the editor. And I want to add a social media icon social media icon menu to the footer. We're going to look at another feature of WordPress, and that's reusable blocks. So I'm going to make this reusable. That way, if I want to insert this menu anywhere else, like say, for instance, I want a sidebar that has my social media icons, I can just throw in this reusable block. It's in two places, but I'm editing it in one spot, and it'll update anywhere. And then that way I can just plug it into any page I want without rebuilding it. So let's click into our footer here, and all we have right now are two paragraph elements. I'm in two groups, a group, and then a row, and there's two columns in this row. So I would like to add an element in this higher level group. Looks like I could just do that by adding the plus button around the outline. That's kind of helpful so you know where you're at in the hierarchy. And let's just search for social because WordPress will have a block for social icons. And right now I inserted this below the text. We can drag and drop this above, and we'll click the plus button to start adding some icons. And I'm just going to add 3 for now: Facebook, Twitter, and Reddit. And we'll go into the options on the right here. You can choose the circular icons or the logo only. They also give you a pill shape, which I don't really like. You can do your justification. So this is how we can center it. I want to open these links in a new tab. I usually do that with any external links. If it's pointing to my domain, I'll keep it in the same window. But if it's external, I don't want them to exit out of my website to go to a third-party website. And let me scroll down and see if we can adjust the spacing. So maybe I'll drop this down a little bit. I'll set it to 20, so it's a little bit tighter than what the default values are. And now that I have this done, I'm going to click this 3-button icon, and I'm going to add this to my reusable blocks. And I'll call this My Follow Links. We'll save it, and then now anytime we want to add this again, we just add a new block, and we can search for our reusable blocks, and we'll be able to find this My Follow Links. I'm going to add one other reusable block on another page template, on the inner page template, that shows a call to action to sign up to our email list. So we have that on the home page here with this button and call to action area. On the inner pages, we'll add it to the end. So, somebody reads through a blog post, at the end of it, they have a chance to opt in. So let's save this. And we'll start working on the other templates. So let's use the template navigator up here in the top center. We'll click browse all templates. And the other two that I want to edit are the templates that are going to show the pages and the single blog posts. So the single post is this one right here, single post. And the default page template is, I believe, this one. It looks like we have a couple options here. You got the page and the page no separators. I don't know exactly what that means. But we'll dig into both of them. And let's start with the page template. And then I'll also open up a page here in the live website tab. So let's just reload this, make sure all our changes are here. This is how our homepage looks now, and then we're going to go to the About page, or I'm sorry, I'm going to create an About page in a little bit here, but I'm going to go to the sample page. I'll probably just turn the sample page into the About page, but you can see a couple changes. Obviously, this is a much more plain design. The one thing that I'm not a big fan of is how you have the two different headers. I kind of would prefer to keep the header with that green background, the dark background, and then we'll go into the About page and add some content there with the blocks and the pre-made patterns. So just to show you how we can edit these templates, I'm going to do something a little different on this one. In addition to making the background green, I want to put the post title up in the header area. I'm going to only do this for the pages, not for the blog posts. This right now, this is the default header template part. I don't want to edit this because I want to keep this as is. I'm going to create a new header template part, and I'm just going to call it header page. But first, before we do that, I have to detach this from the template part. So if we click this 3-dot icon, you can do that right over here. detach blocks from the template part. That way we can build our custom template and then we can save it as a new template part. So let me do that. And then I'll go into this group and change the background color. And then I'll have to change the text color as well, I'm sure. So let's set the text to white. And then let's see where we can adjust our link color. We'll make that white as well. And I think that this matches what we have on the home page. So yeah, that looks good to me. And then, like I said, I'm gonna move this up here. So this is the post title block. Let me see if I can just drag it right up into this section. And that's pretty cool. It adjusted the color to white. I'm gonna center this and make it bold, just like I did with the other post titles. We can do that over here from the appearance. And I don't like the amount of margin here. There is a little bit too much padding below this. So let me see if I can update that. Right here in the group, they give you the option to update the padding and the block spacing. This is one thing I think they do need to work on, understanding, where the padding is. And also there's margin too. If you don't know anything about CSS, if you just do a Google search for the box model, you can see how an element's width is made up of the content width, the padding, the border, and the margin. It's important to know which to use. So let me just set this to 0 and see what happens. And it looks like that does actually adjust. So I'm going to give this a little bit of padding, maybe do 25 pixels. And we just need to click out of there. Now that looks to me way more than 25 pixels. So I don't know why that just happened. Let me try 5 pixels. That's interesting. So when you set it to 0, it actually goes down to 0. But when I set it to, say 1 pixel, it makes it way bigger. So there's a little bit of funkiness going on with that. That's the type of thing where, you can customize that with CSS. So if something is not working here with the editor or not working as expected, one of the advantages of understanding CSS code is that you can pretty much fix any little bug that's on the site. But for right now, I'm just going to save this. And actually, before I save, let me exit out of that first. I do want to save this template part. So we'll select this group, click the 3-dot icon, and select this make template part option. Like I said, we're just going to name it header page, and we'll define it as a header area. We'll create that, and now we'll save, which is going to update our page template. And then we'll go over to our live website and see how it looks. And actually, that looks pretty good. I mean, I do think it would look better with a little bit less padding under the title, but overall, I like it. You can see the separator, and now that I have the separator in here, that's probably what the no separator template does. It just removes that. That would be my guess. The reason it's there is because above it in the template is, I'm assuming, the featured image. Yeah, the post featured image block. On this page, there is no featured image right now. So let's go into the about page and start adding some content to that so you can see how this template looks. We're just going to change the sample page to an about page. And then once you publish a page, like we mentioned at the beginning of the video with permalinks, this URL is going to be /sample-page. Once you publish it, it's not going to update, but you can update it yourself by going over to this under the page menu here, the permalink option. And so we're going to change this to /about. If you're in draft mode, it should automatically update unless you manually set this whenever you change the title. So just do a double check on the permalink. I usually like to keep them short. And for blog posts, I just let it generate based on the title. But if you ever need to change it after it's published, it's just important to note. And then I uploaded all these stock images. So I'm just going to pick one of them for this page. I picked one with a couple people for the about page. And then let's add a block down here with one of the default WordPress blocks, and that's the cover block. So let me just search that out. Basically, this is just an image overlay with text on top of it. So we'll choose an image from our library here. We'll select that, and you can see we can either write a title on top of it, or we can do even more blocks. The other cool thing you can do is make it full width, max width 1,000, or full width, align left and right. So we're going to make this one full width. And instead of just doing a title on top of it, what we're going to do is add 2 columns. So we'll just do 2 columns of text. So right now this is a paragraph element. I can just hit that to change this to something else. Now we got our columns. I can select the number of columns here. So we'll do 2. Stack on mobile option is set. That way it's mobile friendly. And I'll just put in a title here with some more of this dummy text. So right now this is a paragraph. We're going to make this a heading. So I'll make this an H3, make it a little bit smaller, make it bold like all the other ones, and we're going to center it. And then we'll center that. and we can just duplicate these. I'll select both of them, hold Shift as you're clicking. We'll duplicate these and drag them over here into the second column. And I'll just change this to another title. So you can see how quickly you can build a little overlay section like that. I think that looks really nice. We'll add in an H2 here. Make it bold and center it. With WordPress, you have spacer blocks. So that's a cool one for design. Sometimes, elements are a little bit too close to each other. You can adjust the spacing by dragging that way or set it to a pixel value over here. So let me do 50 pixels, and then I'll put this above to add a little bit of space between the image overlay section and this heading. And then I'll just paste in this text as well. Let me just duplicate this block, and then I'll drag it down here. The last one that I want to add is the reusable block that I mentioned before, and that's going to be the email opt-in call to action. So we're going to build this out. We'll add it to our reusable blocks, and I'm going to put this in the bottom of our templates. I don't want to put this on this page right here because I want this to appear on every page and every post. So we'll update this page. Let's just take a quick look at it. We reload, we can see that we have our new page here, the About page. Our featured image is showing. Here's our full width section, and we're going to add in our call to action right down here. We're back here on the editor looking at all the templates, and we'll go back to our page template, which is up at the top now that it's been edited. And then let me go down to the bottom of the page here, and I'm going to add in a pattern for this email sign up. So we'll click Browse All, and we'll go over to our patterns. And I'm going to use this first one, the subscribe call out, but I'm going to remove the separator, and I'm going to replace it with an image. So let me do that. I can click this, or actually it looks like I'm on the column now. So I want to jump into the column to the separator block. I'm going to delete this, and then we're going to add in an image here. We'll pick one from the media library. And I'm going to change this title. Like every other title, we're going to center it, make it bold. And then we'll change this button text to download now, and we'll change the button color to our red. We'll center this as well. The other thing I want to do is change this background color so it stands out a little bit from the white text background. Right now, I'm selecting the columns element, and I can go over to the color here, and we'll change the background color to our secondary color from our theme, which is kind of like a light cream or beige color. So that's all we got here. All you got to do, again, is link up the button to your email marketing provider. And the last thing we want to do right now is make this a reusable block. So we'll click the 3-dot icon, add this to reusable blocks, and I'll just call this End Content CTA, which stands for call to action. So let's save that, and we're going to insert this into our other templates, including the single post template. So let's go ahead and save this now. Let's take a look at the live website. And if we scroll down, we have our call to action section right now. And we haven't done this yet, but you can drop this down and see how it looks on mobile. Everything is mobile friendly with this theme. So once it drops down, we'll get our mobile menu. That stacked on mobile option for the image overlay makes the 2 columns drop down to 2 rows. And there's our call to action. So everything looks really good on this website. Again, this is much better looking than a really plain theme. And it doesn't take much more than just using the WordPress blocks and the patterns with the 2022 theme. So let's move on to the next templates. We'll go back here into the template editor. And the other thing I just want to quickly show you is the template parts. We saved this header page. You can see if you have a Gravatar set up with your WordPress admin username or email, your face will show up in this added by section, which is pretty cool. So let's go back to the templates. And the next one I want to focus on is the single blog post. So we do have to change this blog page because right now this is still using the older header. But if we go into the individual blog posts, I'm going to use the page header template for this. We're going to go into the single post template over here. If I click on the header, you can see that I can replace it. So let me replace it with the header that we created, this header page. And now I can just delete this post title down here. And as I mentioned, I want to add in that call to action section at the bottom of every post in addition to every page. So we can add in our reusable block. We can go over to the reusable tab and put in our end content CTA. You can see, like, once you start building these blocks and these patterns, it becomes much faster to create content, and you can continue to build on top of it. So it's easier and easier to produce more elaborate designs. You know, this one took, what, 20 seconds right now? So let's save it. Let's take a look, make sure everything looks good on this. And there you go. We have our single post template. I actually added in that little subscribe pattern without doing any customizations to it. And that's what you see right there. And then we have it down here, customized with our call to action. Looks like the comment button is green. I probably would change that to gray, but I'll leave that as is for now. That could be a little task for you to figure out. So let me go back here, and we're going to move on to the blog template. So we talked about this at the beginning of the video. This is the home template. If you don't set that site homepage setting, your home template is just a list of your blog posts. And I mentioned that I think this is a typo. If you have a static homepage set, this is the post page, but for some reason this says when a static homepage isn't set. I don't know why that is. Hopefully they fix that. But if we jump into the home template, I mean, it's obvious that this is what's displaying the blog page over here. So we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to replace this header with the header we had on the single post template, the page header. This is the header dark small. So we'll replace it with our header. For the blog page, I kind of want it to be more like snippets with smaller images. So let's jump into these. If I click into here, you can see this is the query loop block. So this is basically just going through all our blog posts. And then we can edit the individual components of this. If we jump in here, we have the post title. Here's the post featured image. Right now it's max with 1000 pixels. I might try to align this left. Okay, yeah, I think that's what I want to do. And then hopefully we can add in some padding or margin. We will do, let's say, 20 pixels to the right. I think we want to add a little bit more to that. Let's make it 35. And I like the way that looks. The other thing I want to do is add this heading over here to the right. So let's select this image and drop it into here if we can. So we can make it bold over here with the appearance. It is pretty big right now. So let me change the size. So that's way, way too small. This looks like about the right size. And I also want to add this date up here. Right now it's set to a link. I don't want that to link to anything. So we're going to remove that link with that slider right there. I'm going to take off the italic styling. I'm actually going to make it bold. We're going to make it uppercase so it contrasts a little bit, which if I click this 3-dot icon here, we can adjust that. You can pick the font family, the appearance, the line height, the letter case, and the letter spacing. You can select uppercase right here. This is lowercase. This is capitalization. And then for the color, let's see if we can set it to more of a gray. So now we got to set the 666, 666. Now it looks like we can also adjust or contain the size. I'm not sure what the width of this is right now. If it's set to a percentage or a pixel width, we can adjust the height or the width here. Might even be better to have more text on there. So let's drop this down to maybe 450. I think that's perfect. So let's save this template and check it out on the live site. Reload our design. And it looks like we got a couple issues here. Right now, this is picking the first title of the blog post. So I'm going to want to change this to just blog. And for some reason, our padding or our margin isn't working correctly. But we can debug that with the Google Chrome inspector. So when I hover over the image, I'm not getting any padding or margin on that. I got the margin top on this element, which is the figure. And actually, when I look over here, the margin right is set to 35. So for some reason, the CSS is just being overwritten. And now that I'm looking down here, it looks like we have the margin right set to auto with this tag important, which that kind of just overrides any other settings that we set. So that's what's happening there. I'm going to have to figure out if I can fix that. The one thing I might be able to do is just add padding. So let me see if I can replace that margin with padding. So I'll reset the margin and I'll add padding of 35 pixels. So it should do the same thing. Hopefully this works. Let's save it and see if that fixes our issue on this page. And it did. So that's pretty cool. So you can see sometimes the margin versus padding issue can be confusing. I just recommend you try both of them. If you have an issue, one of the two is not working. And let me just go back into here. Because this is our template, I do want to just break this off from the template. I don't want this linked to the template because then if I save this, it's going to remove that title from the other pages. I got the header page selected here. I'm going to detach the blocks from the template part. We'll just add in a heading block. Make it bold and center, and that's just going to replace our post title. This actually looks a little bit darker, so it looks like we probably should be setting this to extra bold. And you can see if I take away the bold from here, the extra bold actually overrides that. So let me delete this post title block. And now it looks like our group padding is working correctly. So right now I unlinked all of these, because if you have them linked together, then all these are going to be the same value. I'm just going to change the padding bottom. Let's make it say 50 pixels. And that closely matches what we had before. So everything looks good on here. And like the other pages, it's up to you whether or not you want to add that call to action. But let's just do it on here. We can see that because we selected it before, it's under here as one of our most used blocks. Let's save. Now it's asking me right now to save the template part header page, which I might have made a change to that before I detached the parts. I'm just going to uncheck this. Hopefully everything saves correctly. And let's just do a quick look on our website again. So now our blog layout is looking perfect. We'll go back to the home page. Everything looks good on there. Go to the About page. We're good to go on here. One thing I'm noticing is the social icons are not appearing on here. I think that's because I didn't put in any links. But other than that, we're basically done here. This is a really nice setup that's going to differentiate your site with a color palette, a unique layout, and it shows you how you can go in there and edit any part of your website. All of the templates that generate every page in your website are completely customizable with the new full site editor. And I'm sure over time, over the next months and years, more and more themes are going to adopt this.
There you have it. You should have WordPress now installed on your HostGator account. If you'd like to sign up right now, visit the link in my description below, websiteprofitcourse.com/HostGator. That will get you started. And like I said, I'm an affiliate for HostGator, so that helps support my channel. I love creating these free tutorials to help you. If you're a beginner with WordPress, I have 2 free training series for you. The first is a big picture overview of WordPress. I'll give you a much more in-depth tour of the dashboard and the admin area that we were just looking at. To get that, go to websiteprofitcourse.com/WP101. And if you're looking to use WordPress for a personal blog, you'll learn what it takes to make money online with your blog and how to market it. So if you'd like to check that out, go to 14dayblog.com. All the links will be in the description below. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. And if you want to get more WordPress videos in the future, make sure you subscribe to my channel. And please let me know in the comments below what kind of website you're building. I'd love it if you could help me out to understand what you're using WordPress for. Really appreciate you taking the time to watch this, and I want you to take action now. Thanks a lot, and I hope you have a great day.